I think that clients are getting a lot savvier in terms of being able to ask the right questions, to be able to tie measurable business results to some of the programs that we run. I mean, if you think back, it was always, we did a lot of reporting on digital statistics and impressions and clicks and things that really didn't have an impact on a client's business. So more often than not, we are working with our partner companies, media vendors to be able to quantify what we're getting from a return, and whether that's an e-com model on a website, or LoopMe has a purchase loop attribution model that we can use as well, or anything that ties to foot traffic. I mean, the options are pretty much wide open in terms of being able to try to quantify business results in a way that's meaningful for a client and isn't necessarily media speak, and some of the ways that media buyers evaluate their performance.
What about offline and foot traffic? And I know that's I'm sure it's a big goal of some of your clients. How do you deal with measuring offline, like increased foot traffic and also online conversions?
I would say that's still a challenging space. I mean, there are a lot of foot traffic attribution vendors in the space, but more often than not, we use a lot of different vendors as part of a buy, and ultimately they all have their own methodology and model. So we end up in a situation where we don't really have a core solid source of truth, and that's really challenging, because we come back to a client and saying, vendor A is reporting this, vendor B is reporting this, and there's really nothing that syncs them together. I mean, we're still trying. We use foot traffic attribution quite a bit. I think still that sector has a ways to go before I think clients truly buy in and believe those numbers. We've also done a bunch of different things with incrementality studies. We worked with some vendors on some matchback studies when we've had clients that have a core database of consumers that they know, and then they're looking to see what that incrementality is. So we've been able to kind of do some workarounds in that regard. We are trying to, again, similar to the last question, it's not enough to be able to say we've got this great reach halo and it's doing well with offline media. We have to be able to tie it back in some way. And I wish we had a core consistent source of truth for that, but we use a lot of different methodologies.
And how do you know if you're reaching folks? How do you know if you're reaching new customers and delivering incremental performance?
A lot of that is it depends on the client. I would say that it is challenging to be able to judge that. And that's really, really where we need to bring in kind of some third-party tools that have, here's an established base of current customers. Here's the exposure for the ad campaign, and then ultimately being able to measure what is a net new customer. I don't think we've totally cracked the nut on incrementality, but it comes up more and more often with clients, because ultimately, again, clients are getting savvier, and the pressure on business outcomes is rapidly evolving to be able to do that, to be able to account for that.
Michelle, coming out of the pandemic, what are some changes you've seen, lessons you've learned, and how that might sort of change the road ahead for you as a media investment professional?
I think there's a few things I think that we've learned. We have a very large nut to crack with privacy and what consumers are expecting. And obviously Google's announcement this morning that they're postponing the lock on Chrome in terms of third-party cookies, that's obviously shaking things up quite a bit. I know as an industry, we were very preoccupied with that and still need to be. I think we're excited about the shifting habits. I mean, there is just, like I said, there's more ways than ever to get to somebody, to be able to expose somebody, to be able to engage with somebody. There's more opportunities for cross-channel engagement. That's really exciting. The social space for us is hugely exciting. I think that as media buyers, and more of a little bit of a bigger topic that we saw with last summer, is we have the challenge of we need to be really thinking through where we're investing client money. There's an accountability at play. There's, diversity initiatives at play. We need to be really cognizant of the media organizations that we partner with in terms of how they're protecting client data and how they're, giving voices to, giving opportunities to voices that are not heard. And these are things that media buyers have never had to think about, really. I mean, we've really only focused historically on, get me the biggest reach. I don't know if I don't have to be as concerned with environment. I don't have to be as concerned with creative. I mean, it was very separate, disparate process in terms of content plus media plus environment, plus political stance. And we now need to think of all of those things. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a great place for a media buyer to be. And it's a pretty exciting time.